Hey guys, this is Jason. So in this video, I decided to do another different thing. Instead of reviewing one film for this video, I decided to have a select few of movie reviews of movies I never got around to talk about on my channel, because Christmas is right around the corner and I want to celebrate Christmas with my family, so I had to take a few films and put them into one review. Also, another thing I have to unfortunately say is that not all of them are going to be in depth. Some of them will be, but not all of them. So sorry, I'm not going to give all the details on each film I talk about in this video. I'm just going to speed through them. And one last thing, I'm not going to use any trailer footage, sadly. Why? Because it helps save a lot of time for me to just edit the video and then move on to the next one. So I'm sorry that they're gonna be a little sped up. I'm sorry that not all of them are gonna be in depth. And I'm sorry that I'm not gonna use trailer footage for any of them. I'm just gonna use images. But regardless, I hope you still enjoy this video, starting with Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget. It is a sequel to the classic Chicken Run film, which once again follows Ginger and Rocky looking for a new flock that has been taken to a new factory where they will be turned into nuggets. And their daughter Molly gets taken by these people, and both Ginger, Rocky, as well as a couple of chickens go to this factory to save both Molly and the rest of the flock from becoming another big meal. This movie was fine. There really wasn't anything remarkable about it. It's just the main characters from the first film have to rescue another flock of chickens that have been taken to a factory, and that's really it. But the animation is still fantastic. It still looks really good. Aardman never disappoints when it comes to their animation. It's easily the best part of the movie. Is it as good as the first film? No, it still has a lot of issues, and I still like the original film more than this, but this is still not a bad film. This isn't one of the worst films I've seen. This is still mindless fun for kids to enjoy. But I think the main issue I have with this film is that it didn't really have a full reason to exist. Like, when I found out that this movie was being made, I was thinking, okay, maybe they have a reason for it, but actually, they don't. They just made this film probably just because. I'm gonna give Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget a C+. Theater Camp is directed by Molly Gordon and Nick Lieberman, and is a film I watched on Hulu recently, and is about a staff of teachers trying to get a rundown theater camp back on top and try to work together to keep it going with the help of the deceased founder's son. I found this film to be a very fun and enjoyable film, and if you love watching theater and Broadway shows, then you might have a fun time watching this one. And it has a very documentary feel to it, because most of this film is handheld. You do sometimes see texts about people and the characters throughout the film, and you do get to hear what the characters say off screen. It's also a very funny movie. It has a few moments that made me laugh quite a bit. In particular, there's this one scene where kids are serving food at the camp. That, for me, is one of the funniest moments I have ever seen in a movie this year. And according to the IMDb trivia page, the dialogue in this film was improvised, which actually makes it feel more natural and makes the acting and the characters feel believable. The acting is also very good. Like, for me, the best ones in this cast are Ben Platt and Molly Gordon, who play two staff members that have been close together since childhood, and almost every scene they have together is really entertaining. Now, as for issues, there is an arc throughout the film that is sort of predictable. You see where it all goes for the film, and for some reason, you don't fully get to see how that's resolved. It's kind of thrown away for some reason. I do recommend watching this film if you haven't yet. Even though I'm not a theater or Broadway fan myself, I still had a fun time watching this film. I'm gonna give Theater Camp a B+. Okay, Barbie is directed by Greta Gerwig and stars Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling as the two main Barbie and Ken, and is based off of Mattel's famous toy line, and is about Barbie, played by Robbie, who's not feeling like her normal self. She's not standing on her toes like she would normally do. She's not waking up feeling happy and energetic. She's just feeling tired, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. As you already know, this movie came out in the same week as Oppenheimer, which started the whole Barbenheimer trend. And to be honest, I was never interested in watching this film because I never grew up playing with any of the Barbie dolls as a kid because Barbie just wasn't my thing. And now that I've seen this film on Max, I can at least say there is a lot to like in this film, namely Margot Robbie as Barbie. I thought she was good as the character while also making the character feel like her own. And Ryan Gosling is freaking hilarious in this film. Every line he has in this film is pure gold. Like, this is the nice guy's Ryan Gosling. This is the type of humor I want to see Ryan Gosling do more of. The sets are also really good. Every set in Barbie Land looks like a real big dollhouse, and the costumes are also really good that do match the setting of Barbie Land very well, in my opinion. This is also a very tongue-in-cheek movie that's very self-aware, it knows what it is, and it just has fun with it, like how they use the narration in the film, and it's also very crazy to watch. Like, there's the famous "I'm Just Ken" song, and there's an earlier scene where Ken is trying to surf, and if you've seen the movie, then you already know what happens there. And Kate McKinnon is constantly doing the splits as weird Barbie while she's doing her usual Kate McKinnon humor, while also giving Margot Robbie's Barbie some exposition that's supposed to explain to Robbie's Barbie on what's going on. It can also be very serious at times, like when Barbie enters the real world, she runs into a group of teenage girls, and when she starts talking about them, she starts to learn about how these teenage girls view her, and it's unfortunately not a good thing for her once she finds out, and how that affects Barbie herself and gives her some decisions in her life. I'm not gonna spoil what they are just in case if you haven't seen the movie yet. Now, sometimes the more over-the-top and crazy stuff and the more serious and down-to-earth stuff doesn't always mix. Like, there'll be a scene that's supposed to be over-the-top and fun and crazy, and then it gets ruined with something more serious, and it doesn't have that very normal consistency. It just makes it feel a little messy. There are also some character decisions that feel completely out of nowhere with no explanation. That's supposed to be important for a character to learn, but you really don't get much of what they learn. They just make that decision instantly without explaining it. Like, I would have liked it if they at least explained more of why this character decided to make this decision to go and help Barbie with her problem. It's a very bonkers and crazy and more serious type of Barbie film that I hope you enjoy watching, that has great acting from Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Oh, and Michael Cera as Alan. He was fun too. I'm gonna give Barbie a B-. And finally, we're talking about Gran Turismo, directed by Neil Blomkamp, and it's about a gamer who later becomes a race car driver. And both him and a retired racer, played by David Harbour, becomes his mentor, as well as a motorsports exec, played by Orlando Bloom, risk everything in their lives to make sure that they are the most elite sport in the world. This movie didn't do very well when it came out, despite having a talented cast and a talented director who's known for directing movies like District 9. I mean, there are some parts where I can understand why, because the story is very familiar. You can easily predict where certain things are gonna go. This is a very underdog type of story that has those cliches that you would see in a sports movie, like the family drama, the ups and downs, the down on his luck coach, and the big climax that's supposed to be inspiring. But the reason I'm gonna give this movie a pass is because the acting and the directing are top notch. They easily make this film a lot of fun to watch, as well as the cinematography, which interestingly, Neil Blomkamp uses some drone shots for some of the race scenes that do actually kind of help with some of the intensity when the races are going, which also has the stunt drivers using real race cars that help heighten the intensity and the realism. And when those race scenes happen, they keep you on the edge of your seat when the main kid is racing, and when he's racing, there's never a dull moment. And what also makes these scenes a lot of fun is that oftentimes you would see the main kid imagine all the settings and the icons that he would see when he's playing a Gran Turismo video game, and he pictures them while he's doing the actual racing, which makes this film feel more like a video game, which kind of makes sense because this movie's technically based on the video game, even though it's mostly based on a true story about the kid playing the video game itself. In the first act, without giving anything away, it sets up some of the things that you can already predict where they're going. It's still enjoyable, but you can still figure some things out that can kind of ruin some of its momentum at times. Then the second act happened, and I was starting to get more invested in the main kid that's doing all the racing, and I like the scenes that he had with David Harbour whenever they have scenes together, and David Harbour is great in the film, as well as Orlando Bloom, and the actor that plays the main kid in the film, Archie Madoque. I'm sorry if I got his name wrong, but he is really good as the main character in the film. And then it gets even more interesting in the beginning of the third act once you get a serious moment that happens that actually kept me a lot more engaged after that happened, and it made me care about what was going on and made me want the main kid to succeed, which also leads to a very teary-eyed moment that I will admit almost made me cry when that happened, and it's very satisfying when that happens. And for me, this is one of those films where each act has gotten better than the other, because the first act, well, still good, but it wasn't doing a lot to keep my attention until the second act happened, and especially when the third act happened and got me even more invested. For me, I think this is one of the better films of this year. I think this might be the most underrated movie I have seen all year. I do recommend watching this film on Netflix if you haven't seen it when it was in theaters. I'm gonna give Gran Turismo an A-. And those are the films I decided to make a full video on. I couldn't make separate reviews of them because of the time I have and stuff with Christmas being right around the corner. I had to put them all into one video. But hopefully this video does get you interested in watching either of these films, even though some of them were a little sped up and not all of them were in-depth. And I'm hoping you still enjoyed this video overall. But if you have seen either 4 of these films, either in theaters or just on streaming services, what did you think about them? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this review, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.